We're on the same
When I
side.
woke up this morning, I was feeling pretty dangerous.
One about the past and one about the future.
Welcome back to Draft Vice, everybody. I am Walter, and we're here back at Draft Vice. We're doing the second and third rounds of last night's mock draft. But first, if you want to follow the podcast, you can follow it at Draft Vice on Twitter, at DraftVice_football on Instagram. You can follow me at BROJO. Death is in the end of laugh. Punch like a delicious drink you drink in the summer. And you can find that on any platform, whether it's the Twitter, the Instagram, and Twitch, although I don't do anything on Twitch. I guess I should stream this on Twitch, but I'm on the YouTube, and I like the YouTube. I grew up with the YouTube at this point. We've been friends for a long while now. And on tonight's episode, we are definitely going into some of this, some of the round 2, round 3 action based off of last night's gig, man. This is what we're doing. I'll go through the first round picks. First, I want to announce, again, doing a live draft show in Nanuet, New York, the heart of New York, everybody. It's why everybody goes to New York. Screw New York City. Nanuet, New York is where it's at. And we're going to be at the Spot Billiards at 33304 Route 304 Nanuet, New York. We'll be posting flyers and lovely ways of finding where the location is. It'll be live, in person, and on the YouTube. Yes, a combo meal, if you will. And so, with that, we're going to go ahead and jump right back to the old mock of last night, right? To kind of go ahead and get to talk a little bit about what happened, right? Number 1 overall, Trevor Lawrence, not a shock. 2 overall, Zach Wilson, still not a shock. 3 overall, Trey Lance. Oh my, Walter, you got saucy today. And part of this, I remember saying, it was part of Shanahan was the one who suggested Trey Lance's QB coach. So there's at least something in play there, I think, where Trey Lance might be at least somewhat involved in the decision-making of Kyle Shanahan. Intriguing guy because he hasn't played all this year. He played 1 game this year. Wasn't a great game. But last year he threw no interceptions. He's kind of very much reminiscent of like a Colin Kaepernick style player. Didn't play in a big conference, and there's always going to be questions of the level of competition. The athleticism shows up on tape quite a bit, but I think the real question with the athleticism is when you are Trey Lance and you're playing a bunch of schmoes, is that athleticism really showing up? 4, I have the Patriots jumping up to draft Justin Fields. I do think that the Falcons could stay at 4, take Kyle Pitts. And I also think that the Patriots might just let the board fall to them as far as quarterback goes. I still think they might be a little – they always like to zig when they've previously zagged. Like they never took a running back in the first round, then they took Sony Michel. That's worked so well for them. Anyway, I have them jumping up to take Justin Fields because I feel like this is where they see the right guy falling to the right spot and they jump on him. 5 overall, Penei Sewell to the Bengals. There's going to be the big Penei Sewell, Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase debate. Here I went with the Oregon left tackle. I could easily see it being Pitts or Sewell here, Pitts or Jamar Chase here. But Pitts goes 6 to the Dolphins, 7 Jamar Chase to the Detroit Lions, 8 Rashawn Slater goes to the Panthers. This one's pretty much a lock it, pop it, set it, forget it kind of situation. I think if he's there at 8, they take him. They need offensive line help. They've drafted Sam Darnold. I also think the one difference would be is maybe they would trade back, trying to find future capital, to recoup what they spent on Sam Darnold, the 2nd-round pick, the 4th-round pick, and the 6th-round pick. So maybe they might try to recoup some future capital at pick 8. Pick 9, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Goes to the Broncos. They can go any which way. They could also take Mac Jones here. I don't think it's totally crazy to think about, but I think if we are going to be reading the tea leaves correctly, and the people who report on this team, even though they've been going to all the pro days, it sounds like they're still kind of pot committed to Drew Lock. Maybe it's all smokescreen, because keep in mind, George Patton, he's the guy running the show now, right? All the people who have been covering the Broncos for all these years might not be as in the know with George Paton running the show. So we will see. At 10 overall, we had the Dallas Cowboys take Patrick Surtain. We had our friend Jayland last night suggest that we go J.C. Horn here. I could totally see that happening. I felt like Surtain was a better fit for Dan Quinn's defense. 11 overall. This might be a little earlier than people expected, but I had the Giants going Tevin Jenkins over Christian Darrisaw because Tevin Jenkins, I actually think is maybe a bit better of a player. Also has played right tackle. I think the Giants can take a right tackle and feel fine with it at 11. They can kick him into guard while Nate Solder plays right tackle. They also have Pert. So again, I think Tevin Jenkins just is a mauler of a dude. Right now, you can kick him in at right guard, then play him at tackle next year. You have Andrew Thomas. You're going to keep Andrew Thomas at left tackle. And then all you got to figure out is your left guard situation. They could have easily went for one of the wide receivers or the edge rushers, but I felt like this is what they should be doing, and also what they are probably thinking of doing, is go for somebody who can protect Daniel Jones. It's the one part of the team that has not been solidified all the way. 12 overall, J.C. Horn to the Philadelphia Eagles. They go corner. I tried doing a trade with the Eagles. They kept on making fun of me, being like, no, we don't want to trade down, even though we already traded down. So screw you, Eagles. 13 overall, I had the Chargers taking Jalen Waddle. If J.C. Horn had fell on here, I think they would have went J.C. Horn. I know we all think the Chargers should take offensive line, and they should. I just don't believe they will. 14 overall, another team people think might take offensive line. I think they're taking edge rusher, especially if this man is on the board. Kwity Paye, edge rusher of Michigan. I think he fits perfectly of what they want in a defensive end. They can't rely on Danielle Hunter coming back all the way, and even if he does, they kind of want to have two edge rushers to pair together. Now you get a guy in a rookie contract, pair with Danielle Hunter. You also, you can't rely on, if you lose Danielle Hunter and not have somebody, Anthony Barr as a blitzer, because again, Anthony Barr got injured last year. Everybody on the Vikings who was a veteran player last year got injured. It's clear that Zimmer was not a fan of how that defense ran last year. They went ahead, they signed a couple of D tackles. They don't want to get run on anymore. And I don't think they want to get passed on anymore either. So I think Zimmer's like, I don't want to take this no more. So 15 overall, Eagles, the Falcons, the other birds, they take Devontae Smith. They see a falling star. They grab onto him. They say, listen, we're going to have an offense, and we're going to have an offense with Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones, and now Devontae Smith. You will not be able to cover them at all. 16 overall, Greg Newsome goes to the Arizona Cardinals. I think this is the perfect pick for them. They aren't going to be as worried about the injury risk. They might go after Caleb Farley, but I feel like with Newsome there, I think they don't feel as worried about the injury risk that you would get with Farley. And they still, even though, yes, he has his own injury issues. In fact, he has some soft tissue injury concerns, and that's been a concern going back a couple of years now. I still think they need a corner now, and they need one to pair up with Malcolm Butler and Byron Murphy. 17 overall, Christian Darrisaw to the Las Vegas Raiders. Got to switch it up a little bit on him. This could also be a spot where Christian Barmore goes. A couple of other, Micah Parsons could go here because I'm pretty sure they don't really do a lot of vetting. They probably don't care about the whole hazing thing. They got Richie Incognito. Now you can have Incognito and Micah Parsons hazing people all the time. 19 overall, Mac Jones, the Washington football team. 18 overall, I had Micah Parsons to the Miami Dolphins. I think I was talking about him. Yes, he goes to join Brian Flores to be a unique skill player in that defense. 19 overall, Mac Jones goes to the Washington football team. 20 overall, Samuel Cosmi goes to the Chicago Bears. They might be one of those teams that trades up to try to catch a falling Mac Jones to try to make sure the Steelers and the Washington football team can't get him. Elijah Vera Tucker goes to the Colts at 21. He was the best offensive lineman on the board. I think the Colts would maybe be more interested in kicking him out to left tackle than maybe some other teams. They were kind of interesting in the way they used Braden Smith a couple of years ago. Everybody thought he was going to be a guard in the NFL, ended up playing right tackle for him. Or he can play right guard for them. Again, like you bolster up the interior and then try to find somebody to be left tackle. Maybe they're a little bit later. Although I do think they are fine at right guard. I just think, now you got a real freaking crew down there. 22, Caleb Farley to the Tennessee Titans. This makes so much sense. They have no worries about taking injury risk guys back with Jeffrey Simmons. Guys who maybe, they need to kind of reach on need. So I could totally see them going Caleb Farley here. I did hear, no, it's not. I think yeah, so I think this would be the perfect spot for the Titans to jump on a falling cornerback star who has elite talent. And again, I think the pass rush is going to help a little bit with easing his transition. 23 overall. Now, also the Titans could easily go offensive line or wide receiver here, and they've been pegged that a lot. I just think corner might be actually the and yeah, they spent a little bit of money on Kevin Johnson. He might be their slot corner. They might not be totally pressed to do it, but I feel like with Caleb Farley there, you now have, between him and Janoris Jenkins and Christian Fulton, you have some answers there at corner. You can get a wide receiver later on in this draft. Maybe right tackle, but I felt like that was the better offer there. 23 overall, Azeez Ojulari to the Jets. Now you have another edge rusher to pair up with Carl Lawson. Benny Curry. Now you have a D line, which is what Saleh really likes, is a competent defensive line with a bunch of good edge rushers. 24 overall, Alex Leatherwood to the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know there's a lot of talk about running back here. I'm not buying it. There was a story done by Aditi Kinkablali. She covers actually a lot of the AFC North teams, primarily though the Steelers in Cleveland. And she mentioned a story way back about how there was the ownership there really values offensive line and good offensive line play, and there was a story about how they pushed to they went ahead and overrode the coaching staff and the GM even to take an offensive lineman to bolster the offensive line back when I forget somebody else had retired a while back. They could go Creed Humphrey here to go center. I don't think this is where they would take Landon Dickerson. And now maybe Creed Humphrey is not their style of guy. Who knows? 25 overall. But I think if Alex Leatherwood is there, they take him. They try to play him either at guard or tackle, and they try to see what they have there. Christian Barmore, 25. D tackle goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars. They did sign a couple of D tackles in free agency, but I don't think they prevent you from drafting a guy like Barmore, who's a young guy with upside. You're looking at a multi-year build-up of this team. Yes, it's been a rebuild already in the making. Now they have Trevor Lawrence. They get a star for their defensive line in Barmore. They could also, I thought edge rusher here. They have Kayvon Chaisson. They have Josh Allen. They could have went Jason Owe or Carlos Basham. But I felt here was a good spot for it. Also, Trevon Moehrigs's been pitched to them here. 26 overall, the Cleveland Browns take Jason Owe to pair him up with Myles Garrett. Yes, I know they signed Clowney. They cut Richardson. Richardson might be back. There's been a little bit of talk about that. I don't want to get my hopes up because I did like the guy a lot. He was one of my favorites on that team. I really wanted them to sign him all those many moons ago, back when Dorsey was running the team. But I don't think it was a bad move. $12 million is a lot in this economy. So I don't think that means they're drafting D tackle. Barmore went before their pick anyway. But even if Barmore's on the floor at 26, I could easily still see them going Jason Owe. There was a lot of talk about them going speed rusher package, kind of just getting as many edge rushers on the field as you can and just get after the quarterback on some of the deeper distant downs. And Owe is more of a projection. You're getting him in there to go ahead and kind of get him in the room and develop him as a pass rusher, get him utilized maybe in a bit better than he was when he was at Penn State. 27 overall. Baltimore Ravens go Creed Humphrey, right? I think Creed Humphrey's gone first round. We're all sleeping on it. He could go to the Steelers. He could go to the Ravens. I think the Ravens would be a good spot for him. They kind of need to bolster up their interior offensive line a little bit. 20 overall. Rashad Bateman goes to the Saints. I think he's going to slip a little bit more than people expect. He might not even be the fourth receiver off the board. 29 overall. Now we start a little bit of a receiver run. The Packers go with Elijah Moore. They could also go with Asante Samuel, although from what I've heard, there's some size queens in Green Bay, so who knows. Although they have Jair Alexander, same size as Asante Samuel. Speaking of which, Asante Samuel, 30 overall to the Buffalo Bills, 31 overall, Dylan Radins to the Kansas City Chiefs, and 32 overall, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers take Joseph Osai. I will try not to riff as much as I've been doing, just going back through my first round. So, round 2, Jacksonville is on the clock, and like I said before, they went D tackle previously with Barmore. They have Trevor Lawrence. They could go offensive line here. Like I said before, I think the Wyatt Davis could be in this range. Eichenberg, if they're not totally sold on Cam Robinson, who they franchise tagged, which is a weird way to treat the guy who you're franchise tagging. They could take Jamin Davis, pair him up, kind of more of as a developmental guy, pair him up with Miles Jack over there. Zaven Collins has been talked about a lot as a first-round pick. I don't think he goes in the first round. I could be wrong. There should be some teams that would be very eager on him. I don't know if this is the spot for him. They've been talked a lot about Trevon Moehrig. I could totally see Trevon Moehrig. There hasn't been a safety to come off the board yet. I could see, if you look at edge, Gregory Rousseau, Jalen Phillips, Carlos Basham. I think Rousseau and Jalen Phillips might fall a little bit more, but they're going to be coming off the board soon. I think Carlos Basham goes here, right? Boogie Basham. Go ahead. You now get a guy who can play on the edge, kick into the interior of it. Again, you now get a rotation of guys between K'Lavon Chaisson and Josh Allen and now Boogie Basham. They can also go wide receiver here, but I felt like, again, edge rusher is a perfect spot. Trayvon Moehrig's been talked about a lot to them. I could totally see that being the spot there, too. Jets, 34 overall. Who did I have him take before? I had him take Azeez Ojulari. They have Zach Wilson. If there was the right wide receiver on the board, I could see them taking him. I don't like Terrence Marshall for them. In fact, I think that's a very similar kind of guy to what they have already in Denzel Mims and Corey Davis. I think they're going to be looking for more of a speed guy, maybe a Rondale Moore, a Kadarius Toney. I think Rondale Moore would maybe be the pick if this was a little bit later. I don't know a lot. Some teams might be looking to trade up in the second round, so maybe keep an eye on that. Maybe they trade back. We have seen Joe Douglas do that quite a bit, where he's traded back, accrued some picks, gotten a couple of extra shots, a couple of bites at the apple. I don't see anybody I might be doing that with right here, so I'm going to go with... I could see them also going guard and going Wyatt Davis here. Trey Smith, I think this is a little early. I don't see him taking Landon Dickerson here. Liam Eichenberg would be an interesting one. I think maybe some teams might look at him as a guard prospect. I kind of want to have him take Rondale Moore, because they could utilize him in that athletic kind of quasi kind of Deebo Samuel role. He's got that insane athleticism, kind of more of a gadget guy, but he can do so much more than that. And when you have a guy with that level of athleticism at 34 overall, you now get a guy you could run out of the slot and kind of be, get him to move around your offense, because he doesn't have to line up on the outside. You have two guys that line up on the outside already in Mims and Corey Davis, who you gave a big contract to. So now they take Rondale Moore, 35 overall. The Atlanta Falcons are on the board. I think you got to look defense here. Cornerbacks are still on the board. Afetu Melifonwu, I don't think that fits their system. Kelvin Joseph. I think Eric Stokes might be kind of on the board for him. He showed a lot of athleticism. They might like him in a man coverage scheme. I don't think he had the lateral quickness I'd want to have in a corner that's playing a lot of man coverage. Probably prefer Stokes a little bit more in a cover 4 or cover 3 kind of scheme. But again, with that level of athleticism, I think it's totally doable. Kelvin Joseph is still on the board. He's a freak athlete. It depends on how teams feel about his off the field. And I don't know how they will feel about it in Atlanta. Elijah Molden is still here. Tyson Campbell's still here. I think Elijah Molden would be an interesting one here, because he's more of a slot corner / safety hybrid. I think it'd be interesting to see how Dean Pease would actually utilize a guy like that. They have A.J. Terrell, but I think they need somebody on the other side here. Stokes or Molden. Edge rusher is also an option. Oh, they could go edge rusher here. I don't. It's a toss-up right now for me. They could go Gregory Rousseau, because I feel like this would maybe be the end of his fall. And you get a big guy on the edge, very different than what they've had in the past. I 100% think they're going corner also. They might trade up to get a corner if they see a guy falling that they really like. 36 overall. The Miami Dolphins are on the board. They're going to go with Jalen Phillips. The fall ends for the star edge rusher. I think Miami is... I could totally see Miami taking Jalen Phillips trading up to get Jalen Phillips with their third pick that they have with the second round, top of the second round pick, because they can take that risk. They have the excess capital that if he doesn't work out, they've mitigated it a bit. So I dig it. I like Jalen Phillips, the Miami Dolphins, somewhere in this draft. I think they're the ones who are most likely to take the risk on him. The next team I could see potentially taking a little bit of arbitrage risk is the Eagles. Where they are right now, there's nobody left really to be the arbitrage risk. I think maybe Landon Dickerson, but they have other needs that they need to resolve. I had them previously taking J.C. Horn. Wide receiver would be a good spot for them to resolve. Terrence Marshall still on the board. Kadarius Toney, Dyami Brown. I think that I'd be very intrigued to see them go after Marshall at 37. I think this is a good spot for him to go. Wide receiver formerly of LSU. He opted out mid-year this year. He had a way better 2019 than he did 2020. I think if he had made it one more pick, the Bengals would have taken him because again, he has familiarity with Joe Burrow. He can line. He actually would be an outside receiver in their setup. I don't see the Bengals trading up to get him, so I think that would be an interesting one for them. At 38 overall, now that Terrence Marshall's off the board, I think they're going wide receiver still. Some options. Kadarius Toney, he's more of a gadget player. Dyami Brown's been talked a lot in the top 50. The evals on him seem to be all over. I like him quite a bit as a deep threat kind of guy, but he kind of like a Mims Marshall kind of guy who's not going to be a true dominant wide receiver, but can play on the outside. And I like him. I don't think I want him for the Bengals necessarily. I think they would want a guy with a little bit more speed. And they don't seem to be a team that's overly worried about age in their evals. So I'm going to go with Dwayne Eskridge out of Western Michigan. 24 years old, going to be 25, I think, like soon, not soon, but like probably by next year this time. A lot older of a prospect, but man, this guy's got wheels. You can line him up on the outside. He's going to be taking the top off the defense. They need a guy to kind of replace what they wanted in John Ross, even though technically this coaching staff wasn't even there when John Ross was drafted. But again, getting a deep threat like Dwayne Eskridge for the Bengals, you're now opening stuff up for Tyler Boyd, Higgins, whoever else you end up getting into that room. So 39 overall, Panthers are on the board. Again, they're definitely the team that's going to look to trade down in any round that they can. They took Rashawn Slater. They are going to be the team that takes best guy available. I could see them taking Zaven Collins. He seems like he would it seems like the kind of guy that Matt Rule would really like to have, that big, tough linebacker. Jamin Davis, again, another guy who has like extreme athleticism. That's been a part of Matt Rule's deal. Is like, listen, we're going to coach up our guys and see what we can get out of them. Trevon Moehrig still on the board. I could see them going with him to be their safety. Ifeatu Melifonwu might be where they go with this. They really need to address the corner position a little bit. I could see Ifeatu here. I could see Stokes. In fact, I'm going to go Stokes here. Panthers take Stokes, cornerback out of Georgia. Showed up like an athletic freak. I think they'll like that. They'll see what they can get out of him. 40 overall, the Denver Broncos are on the board. I had them in the first round, taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Offense, look at the tackles. Liam Eichenberg still on the table. They have a very good offensive line coach in Mike Munchak. I could see them, they might not be a huge believer in the guy in the room currently playing right tackle for them, Juwan James. He's coming back. I could see them going after a right tackle here. Walker Little might be an option for them. He hasn't played really much in 2 years at all. So you're kind of projecting a bit. Liam Eichenberg still on the table. This might be really high for Spencer Brown, but he tested like an athletic freak. And if you have a guy like Mike Munchak in your room, to be able to take Spencer Brown and try to develop him into a player, this might be high for a developmental tackle. But I think somebody's going to take the shot on him in the top 50. If I remember correctly, George Paton's been Patton, I've said his name 30 different ways at this point, has been a part of the Minnesota Vikings, and they've done that quite a bit. Brian O'Neill, Ezra Cleveland took these high athletic tackles in the second round. think that's where Spencer Brown's going. He tested out the roof, and the roof is the roof here. 41 overall, the Detroit Lions are on the board. They could take... Oh, they're not going to take another running back, right? I just heard something explode, and things just kind of went dim. So I'm a little worried. So if this cuts out, thank you for tuning in. 41 overall, Jamin Davis is on the board. That might be the ankle biter that they kind of like. Trevon Moehrigg's on the board. They kind of do. Oh, yeah, they need safety badly. Trevon Moehrigg's here, 41. Detroit locks it in. They take Trevon Moehrig. 42 overall, the Giants are on the board. Is there a D tackle in the house? A nice big one, if you will. They could take a Lim McNeil. I feel like this is still a little high for Lim McNeil. He tested up a little bit well. They don't really have a linebacker that like they got the guy from the Packers. They might like one of the linebackers that are on the board. Jamin Davis is still here. I think, there's been a lot of talk about him going first round. I don't think he makes it to the first round, but top 50, 42 overall, Jamin Davis, get him as an athletic linebacker in the room. I could dig that move. I kind of like that idea. That's kind of what Dave Gettleman likes to do, is get guys who are crazy athletes in the second and third rounds, or big D tackles. So 43 overall. We're now with the oh my God, Zaven Collins would have been a good one too for the Giants. All right, well, 43 overall. Somehow the 49ers got away with a second round pick while still getting to draft their guy at 3 overall. Who could they take? Corner's such a big need for them. I don't know if they're changing up much of the scheme now that they've lost Robert Saleh. But I think Ifeatu Melifonwu be a good pickup here. He could play on the outside, kind of similar to what they have with Emmanuel Mosley. And they brought back... They brought back another one of their cornerbacks. I think Verrett they brought back. He's on a 1-year deal. Emmanuel Mosley's on a 2-year deal. They need a guy in that room to kind of help develop and bring in more young talent. Fits kind of well in this scheme. They could also, again, look for maybe some defensive players as well, but I think that's like the perfect spot. 44 overall. We're now with the Dallas Cowboys. They would probably dig a little bit of safety help here. D tackle. Slim McNeil still on the board. Nose tackle out of NC State. Could also see Richie Grant. Right, I've heard a lot of talk about Richie Grant potentially being a Cowboy guy. He's a little bit older of a prospect, right, out of UCF. But I think they need that single high roll kind of guy, and I think Richie Grant's the perfect one for it. 45 overall. I'm sure the Jaguars are annoyed that they're not getting Richie Grant, because I was kind of the guy who I would have pegged for them at their next pick. Maybe they would have traded up to kind of get over the one on the Cowboys. It doesn't matter. Here they are. They're sitting here looking at their board. I think, best players that are available. I'm not overly worried about their offensive line situation. Defensively, they're not going to take another edge rusher. They're not going to take another D tackle. They could go corner. Kelvin Joseph. Wouldn't it be great for them to take Kelvin Joseph, a guy who is a little bit more developmental, at least as far as how he, processes the game. He has great feet. He could stick with anybody in man coverage. He makes some crazy good plays. He's been up against some of the best guys. Yeah, I think Kelvin Joseph here would be a good spot for him. So they take Kelvin Joseph, 45 overall. Atlanta Falcons, 46 overall. They're on the board. They got this pick out of a trade back with the Patriots. This is the Patriots pick. This is such a good move then. Edge rusher. I'm wondering who they would take here, right? They took Gregory Rousseau. I could see them going edge rusher again, to be honest. They might be a little annoyed that they missed out on Kelvin Joseph. They could take Paulson Adebo. Has not played in a year, but he looked pretty darn athletic in his pro day. And I don't know what they're going to be running here. Tyson Campbell or Paulson Adebo would be either good options here. Elijah Molden's still on the board. He's, again, that guy who could play that crazy kind of Buda Baker kind of role where he's erasing guys in coverage. And I'm torn between defensive back here. I'm thinking of Debo or Campbell because they need outside corner outside of Terrell. Elijah Molden, again, I like the player a lot. So I'm going to go Elijah Molden. Aaron Robinson's another guy who could play slot for them, so that was an option, but I like Elijah Molden. Get that good safety to come in. And again, I still options here at corner going deep into this draft. 47 overall. The Chargers are on the board. They went, how did I have them go? They went Jalen Waddle in the first round. Offense. Oh, Liam Eichenberg's still there. They take Liam Eichenberg. They might play him at left guard. Who knows? But you know what? At least they got another guy in the room. I like him at left tackle. But if they don't like him at left tackle, they can still go Walker Little. They could go Brady Christensen. This could be actually the spot where Brady Christensen goes as well. It would be a little high in my book. But then again, Brady Christensen, man. BYU, Peyton Turner kind of beat him up a little bit. And speaking of, right, we've had the Raiders already go Christian Darrisaw. I think they're going to look at edge rusher. Defense is on the board. Edge, Peyton Turner, Ronnie Perkins. I think Peyton Turner. I think that guy sells me so hard on being a Raider. 270, very good mover for 270. I think he's actually a better mover than he is a power or strength guy. He's missing a little bit of core strength, but still a great player. Good hand usage as well. So again, he's had moments where he's bulked up to 290. He's played mostly at 270 this year. Lined up at the wide 9 and got some good rushes from that angle as well. He bullied him and our boy Brady Christensen had a good back and forth going back to last year. 49 overall. Cardinals are on the board. They took Greg Newsome. Could they go offensive line? I think they should. I think they should definitely look offensive line. They could also look wide receiver, Kadarius Toney. They took Kadarius Toney after having Andy Isabella as a draft pick. That would just kind of be a little duplicative. They did sign A.J. Green. I don't think that really prevents you from doing anything. They have DeAndre Hopkins, who is a stud and has made worse quarterbacks look amazing. Monra St. Brown, man, if you have him going out of the slot, you don't have a lot of speed anymore on the offense. They have Christian Kirk. He's coming up to the end of his deal. Diami Brown, Kadarius Toney. I'm going to Monra St. Brown. I think the good thing with Monra St. Brown is he's big, right? So now you don't have to, Kyler Murray can see him. He's not huge. He's actually only like 5'11", but he plays big as a kind of more of a bigger slot kind of guy. I think that's a perfect role for him. He also has some good wheels to him as well. Kind of reminds me a lot of Juju Smith-Schuster, where he can kind of do a little bit of the contested ball thing. I think he's a good fit for what they want to do. They're going to run a lot of 4 wide still. So, again, getting him on the field, I think that's a good matchup weapon for you. 50 overall, they got the Miami Dolphins again. Keep in mind, up to this point, the Dolphins have taken Jalen Phillips, Micah Parsons, and also Kyle Pitts. I think they absolutely would look at guard. Wyatt Davis is still here. I think that's almost a lock to say yes. We're just going to look at a couple of guys. Brady Christensen, a little bit older of a guy, like I said before. I don't know if they would jump on him. I think they're looking for more younger developmental guys. Could they go wide receiver as well? Who would they go top 5? They went Kyle Pitts. They could go wide receiver still. They can get Kyle Pitts' old running mate, Kadarius Toney. I think that'd be interesting, actually, because they still need wide receiver help. We'll do it. They get both of the Florida boys back-to-back rounds. I could have easily seen them going guard here. I think they'll wait another round. The guard's pretty solid in this draft. 51 overall, Washington football teams is on the board. First round, I had them go Mac Jones, so they don't have to go quarterback anymore. They could take a running back. I don't think that's a smart idea. I think Zaven Collins falling to here, they would love it, right? Ron Rivera, he likes linebackers. He knows how to scout linebackers. He knows how to coach linebackers. So, yeah, Ron Rivera gets himself his middle linebacker for his defense. I don't think it's necessarily a scheme fit, but I think he's going to like what Zaven Collins can do. And what Zaven Collins can do in coverage is just create a little bit of a headache for guys because he's big in size, got good long arms. Again, he's a solid athlete at linebacker. He's probably not as I would rather have other linebackers ahead of him, but a solid athlete at linebacker. I think this is kind of where you could see him going. A borderline top 50 guy. I think a lot of people have him as a first-round pick, but I think when you think about the value of linebacker, how teams are going to value some of these other players, especially with a lot of needs, I think that's a spot where he goes. 52 overall, Chicago Bears are on the board. First round, I had them taking Samuel Cosmi, the tackle. Wide receivers that are on the board, Dyami Brown, Amari Rodgers. The wide receivers are going quick, everybody. Defensively, they did get rid of their corner, Kyle Fuller. I think they have to look at corner again. Paulson Adebo is still on the board. Tyson Campbell. I think they go Tyson Campbell here. Be their outside corner outside of Jalen Samuels. Jalen Samuels or Jalen Smith? Jalen Johnson? Jalen Johnson? It's Jalen. All right, Jalen. I'm sorry I got your name wrong like 3 different times. At least the last name. First name, it's Jalen. I know that. 53 overall. The Titans are on the board, right? First round. And I haven't done a lot of trade-ups so far. Trying to move through this as swift as possible while still being able to give as much insight as I can. I will do some trades, but I think at this stage it's kind of like, yes, there will be trades here, and it's so hard to feel what teams are willing to trade up for, or what players are going to be falling. Tyson Campbell went at 52, 53 overall. The Titans are on the board. They went Caleb Farley in the first round. Offense, they look at tackle. It's going to be limited. I think Brady Christensen, this might be where he stops falling. I don't know if he calls falling, to be honest. I think Brady Christensen's more of a third, fourth round kind of guy who's going to be a solid starter, but I think he has some limitations. Although he showed up as a little bit of an athlete. Jalen Mayfield, Walker Little, Stone Forsythe. Ooh. Maybe we go Stone Forsythe here. I think that could work too. I'm going to go Brady Christensen. I think he's more of a solid prospect who's been already through the fire. I think he's like a safer kind of OT. With that in mind, since you have that safety, if he's at least pretty solid, technique wise, I feel like they're looking for a guy who's a little bit more mature. And again, you're getting a guy who went on his Mormon mission already. He's almost 25, but you're getting a guy who could play right tackle for you in the second round, maybe. I think they stick him at right tackle, see what happens. The Colts are on the board. I had them almost definitely going offensive. Elijah Vera Tucker in the first round. Could they go back-to-back offensive linemen? I think that's a possibility. They could look at wide receiver, Dyami Brown. They are losing. They have T.Y. Hilton. He's getting up there. Kyle Pitts. I think this is where Dyami Brown comes off the board. Get an outside guy to pair up with Pitts, with T.Y. Hilton. You're able to take the top off the defense. Again, another team that might most likely trade down as well. The Steelers are on the board. First round, I had them going offensive line. Well, guess what? I still have not had a single running back go off the board yet. Stupid of me, because I just forget about that position sometimes. Well, could Najee Harris, Travis Etienne, Javonte Williams have gone before this point? I look back at it and I go, yeah, there's some teams that would maybe do it. I think the only team that I really see doing it potentially is the Jaguars. You know what? I could have totally seen the Arizona Cardinals liking Najee Harris. That's definitely still an option in the draft, so I think they would be eager to jump on him. Travis Etienne, again, I think that's an option as well. I have Najee Harris going to the Steelers second round. Seahawks finally get on the board finally, right? Go look at what's left here. I think Wyatt Davis is an option. Again, they just want to keep bolstering up the offensive line. Quinn Morentz, Ronnie Perkins. They did sign Aldon Smith, and it sounds like he might not be with them for very much longer. So maybe they look edge rusher here. Maybe they look at Ronnie Perkins. They did lose Jaron Reed. Maybe they draft a Lim McNeil, get a big D tackle in the middle. I could totally see that maneuver as well on their end, but they have guys on the roster that I think they like. So, Levi Wuzariki, kind of a 3-tech, 290. Good when he gets one-on-one with somebody. So again, if you're rushing him at 3-tech, I think he's good. He kind of played in a weird role on the Washington defense. Again, when you talk about people who are big on Joe Tryon, let's have Joe Tryon go here, to be honest. Joe Tryon's another option. He's been talked about a lot as a first-round pick. I think they're going to look at him at edge. It's either going to be edge or offensive line to make their quarterback happy. Right here, where'd I go? Here I'm going Joe Tryon. You can also see Milton Williams. So I think they're going to go big athlete here, to be honest. Somebody who has some real upside to him. Joe Tryon blew up his pro day. 57 overall. This is another team I think will absolutely trade back. Both the Seahawks and the LA Rams, this is what they do when they are limited on picks. Is there a team I could see possibly trading up for a falling star? Maybe. What about the Jags, right? Propose a trade. Jacksonville, right? They're familiar with the LA Rams. Hits up the LA Rams, right? Next, they want to get up to 57, and they got 65. Maybe they offer 130 and 249. There you go. Jacksonville's back on the board, right? Previously, I had them. I had Carlos Basham, Kelvin Joseph, Christian Barmore. They went a lot of defense here, right? I could see them going with a falling running back on the. I think they're going to go Javonte Williams here, right? Be able to get your quarterback, a guy who's going to open up a little bit of the field here. I think he actually might be the best pure runner of the three running backs in this draft that are considered very highly. Now you get him battering behind that offensive line. Maybe you look at getting another weapon in the room for Trevor Lawrence. I almost said Trevor Noah. I think that works out perfectly. 58 on the board is the Baltimore Ravens. Defense, they look at, would they take Levi Wuzariki? I think Ronnie Perkins would be an interesting one for them here. Get to replace Matt Judon. They're not really big on, I think this could be where Ronnie Perkins goes because, again, he has a weird build and a weird frame. Played in a weird conference. All of it's weird, right? He played really well, but it's hard to evaluate where he's going to land and how he'll be at the next level. For the Ravens, where they can kind of mix it up and get him freed up on some open rushes, I think that could be an interesting idea. Utilize his length. The Browns are on the clock, right? Cornerbacks that might still be here. Paulson Adebo, Aaron Robinson. Oh, my God, this is such a bad board for them because I know they would want to take corner. They would maybe even trade up for corner in the second round. I don't think they would do it in the first, but if they saw the right one falling. Say Asante Samuel Jr., who I think Asante Samuel Jr. might fall further than I put him, but that's kind of where I could see him going. I think they might go Alim McNeill. They've talked to Alim McNeill in the past. They did just cut Sheldon Richardson. Alim McNeill might fall. He might fall this third round. I think that might be a good spot for him. I have him going to go that way right now. Other options, I know people are screaming at me, why aren't they taking a linebacker? They could go Jabril Cox. I think they wait a little bit on that. Safety, I think it's a little early for those guys. Wide receiver would be a big one, but I feel like a lot of the wide receivers you would take here are gone. So I could see Anthony Schwartz sneaking up the board a little bit. Because he's got the speed element to him. Who else? There was somebody else I had that I think Josh Palmer of Tennessee. He might sneak up to this area of the draft for a team that needs a wide receiver. 60 overall. The Saints are on the board. They went in the first round. Rashad Bateman. Defense, you're looking at maybe they take Levi Wuzariki, Davion Nixon. Keep in mind, they lost Sheldon Rankins. He never really seemed to bounce back from his injury. They would be a team that loves trading up and trading away draft capital like crazy. Milton Williams, crazy athlete. They might like him, Davion, but they're not big on just taking developmental guys. Levi Wuzariki would be an interesting one for them. I don't see them taking D-tackle. Offensively, oh, wait a second. Who did I have them taking the first round again? Rashad Bateman. Okay. I could see him going guard here. Wyatt Davis, I don't think he's going much further than this. I think they would like that. They spent a first-round pick on Cesar Ruiz last year. The year before that, they traded up and got the guy who's playing center for them, Xavier. I always get his name messed up. This guy was he was a good center 2 years ago coming out. Again, they love building up that offensive line, especially on the interior, get a lot of cheap young guys on contracts. So Wyatt Davis at 60, I think would be a great spot for them. They could also go Landon Dickerson, potentially also a guy who could play guard or center. 61 overall, the Bills are on the board. They are probably pissed off about that last pick because I'm sure they would have wanted Wyatt Davis. I think they go Trey Smith here, guy who showed some real athleticism, maybe stick him in a right guard or left guard. Now they're at least addressing the guard position. I know people are going to say, well, what about running back? But I think they need to address interior offensive line before they address running back again. 62 overall, Green Bay Packers on the board. They took Elijah Moore in the first round. Defensively, Levi and Luzariki would be an interesting one for them. Davion Nixon, get guys that are like 3-techs, guys who could rush the passer. Corner, who are the corners that are left? Aaron Robinson, Paulson Adebo. I know they like those big, tall, long corners. My issue with them taking Paulson Adebo here, I don't know what kind of defense they're running now. They did switch to they're switching, I think, to a similar style to what the Rams ran this year. So, I don't know. Adebo might be a good spot for them, actually. This might be a spot for Adebo. 63 overall, Kansas City Chiefs are on the board. Dylan Radins in the first round. I think this time around, I don't think they go corner. Defensively, they could look edge rusher, Rashad Weaver. I don't think any of these guys I would really want at that spot. They went linebacker, I think, in the second round last year, so I don't know if they would do that again. Offensively, Travis Etienne, they're not taking another running back-to-back years. That'd be nuts. Dude, if they got Landon Dickerson, that'd be crazy. Do they need... Oh, they did lose their center. They can go Quinn Morentz, who has been talked about as potentially a fringe... the Wisconsin Whitewater guy. He's been talked about as a fringe second-round pick. I think that's doable. I think Landon Dickerson falling here might be what they would take the shot on, to be honest, right? Get a solid center, hopefully, for the future. 64 overall. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the board. First round, I had them go Joseph Osai. Now I think they look at defense. Maybe they look at offense. Let's see. Travis Etienne. Ooh. Forget it. They're getting Travis Etienne, folks. The Buccaneers get Travis Etienne. He does have some vision issues. I do think that's a good question with him. The athleticism's real, though. He has that breakaway speed. 64 overall, good spot to take him in. 65 overall, the LA Rams are on the board. This is, again, a team that I could totally see trading back again to accumulate picks. They could go Quinn Morentz. They take a center. I think now I have Pat Freiermuth falling pretty far, but I don't think this is ridiculous. Michael Carter's on the board. They're going to draft another running back, do they? Offensive tackle, Jalen Mayfield, Walker Little. I think, depending on how far he falls, Stone Forsythe. Who else would maybe want to trade up with them? Let's see. You got the Jets are right behind them. The Texans, who are picking for the first time in forever. Falcons, Bengals, Eagles, Vikings, the Chargers, Washington football team. I think, who could I see going at this spot? 65. I think there's a quarterback that can go here. And it's going to be Davis Mills or Kellen Mond. I like Kellen Mond better, right? So let's propose a trade, right? We got 65 overall, the LA Rams. Not LA Rams. Where's Chicago's next pick? Cancel. Chicago's not 83. So I think Chicago's going to call up, be like, listen, we're going to call the LA Rams because we know they're desperate for picks. They like using these mid-rounders. We'll trade up. We'll give you 83 And we'll give you 164, and we'll give you, I think, a fourth next year would be fair. It's declined. LA is not really interested in this shit, huh? Or maybe the Chicago Bears aren't as interested in this shit. Chicago, telling you, somebody's going to call up to trade up to get a falling Kellen Mond. I think he's not going past the second round or not much further. Chicago's going to call up, I think. And they're going to hit up the LA Rams. And they will offer 83, 164, 204, and a fourth rounder next year to get up to 65. Accept it. All right. Chicago Bears are back on the board. They draft Kellen Mond. He will sit behind Andy Dalton until he gets his head knocked off. I'm not wishing for that, by the way. I hope I wish him very much health and well-being. Jets are on the board. Rondale Moore went. Azeez Ojulari. And, of course, they took their quarterback of the future, not Sam Darnold. I think they go Ben Cleveland here. Big bruiser, big guy out of Cleveland. Out of Georgia. His last name just happens to be Cleveland, which is where the draft is this year, folks. I think Ben Cleveland to the Jets makes a lot of sense. You get this. They they're now getting this giant mammoth offensive line. By the way, now I just want them to take Deonte Brown. And if you had Deonte Brown, Ben Cleveland, and Mekhi Becton all on the same offensive line, that's like one of the heaviest offensive lines in the league. So, actually, yeah, I'm actually all for this maneuver. Houston Texans are on the board. I see them. I could see them going ahead and being like, we're going to trade back. I'll switch to the mock in the middle so you guys can see a little bit of what I'm doing here. Yeah, I could see the Texans looking to trade back. Now, you got to find a team that wants to get up this high, right? What about the Steelers, right? They just saw, right? Saw the Steelers trade up with the Texans. They want to move up about 20 picks. I think they've done trades similar to this in the past. I think they trade 140, 216, and a fourth next year. There we go. Steelers take quarterback Davis Mills of Stanford. I could also see Kyle Trask potentially being an option, but they already have a guy similar to Kyle Trask on the roster. His name is Mason Rudolph, and he was not good. So I think they maybe go a different route. A guy who's been very accurate. Ran a little bit of a play-action style scheme. I think Matt Canada is going to be trying to do that a little bit more. So, yes, they trade up to get Davis Mills in the third round. Atlanta Falcons are on the board, 68 overall. They're now trying, people are trying to get their guys, right? Falcons, I had them go Gregory Rousseau and Elijah Molden. Look at defense, go to corner. Who is left that they could go for? I don't think Trey Brown goes on day 2. Aaron Robinson, right? Get that solid slot corner. I think this is a good spot for him to go, especially going to play a lot of press man with Dean Pease's system. I think that could totally work for him. We'll transition back to the left, right? Be back on the left. So we'll have Atlanta Falcons take Aaron Robinson, slot corner out of UCF. 67 overall. Now we're with the Bengals. They took Dwayne Eskridge in the second round. They took Penny Sewell in the first round. I wouldn't mind if they went offensive line again because I think that would be a smart move. Ooh, Quinn Morentz is still on the board. There we go. Third round pick, Quinn Morentz of Wisconsin Whitewater. Showed up very well. Showed pretty well at the Senior Bowl. Now you get a guy who could be your center if Trey Hopkins doesn't come back. You can kick him to guard, hopefully. If he does come back and you need a guy to play guard for you, now you're really bolstering up that offensive line. You're protecting your asset that is Joe Burrow. Man, you know what? I should be running the Bengals right now. That's how we're gonna roll with this shit. Eagles are on the board. They are definitely of the skill set where they could take whoever is the best player available. Defensive line they value heavily. They could take Levi Muzuriki. They could take Pat Freiermuth. There's not a lot of talk about them potentially trading away. Yeah, we've all forgot about that storyline, by the way, right? Remember us all talking about them potentially getting rid of Zach Ertz And Zach Ertz is still on the roster, I believe, and it is 421. So, yeah, they haven't traded Zach Ertz as of right now, but I could see them going Pat Freiermuth here, right? I think maybe they like him. I don't know. I don't think there's a huge drop-off from Freiermuth to Hunter Long. There's just different flavors of tight ends at this spot. Freiermuth has been nicknamed Baby Gronk. He actually didn't even test at his pro day. Davion Nixon. Milton Williams. This is such a... Yeah, Eagles go this way because he's going to be more of a developmental guy. I think that works perfectly for them. Guy who's got legit athleticism. 71 overall. Broncos are on the board. I did not have them take a single quarterback so far, but the quarterbacks I would take if I were them seem to be off the board. They could have easily been one of the ones to trade up to get Trask or Kellen Mond. I think that would have been a really smart move on their end. Too bad they didn't do it. They should have called me up and told me they were doing it, and then I would have done it for them. I had them go in the second round. Where are you, Broncos? Jeremiah Okoromoa was in the first round. And in the second round, I had them go Spencer Brown, right? They need a coverage linebacker, right? There we go. Josie Jewell. Jabril Cox is going to be replacing Josie Jewell as the coverage linebacker. They could also go Brandon. Oh my God, I can't believe I have Brandon Browning going this far down. But I think some teams might like Jabril Cox better than Brandon Browning. I think the Brandon Browning's athleticism might woo some teams. In fact, I think it'll woo the Detroit Lions. They want some ankle biters, some kneecap eaters. So they take Baron Browning out of Ohio State. Panthers on the board. Panthers took Eric Stokes in the second round. Rashawn Slater in the first round. Offense, look at some wide receivers. Pat Freiermuth, Penn State. Bingo, they go for it. They need a tight end. They get a guy who a lot of people see as a second-round pick. He's now currently falling in this draft. So they get a guy who they see as a real special player at the position, is going to be usable in all three phases of the game. What's going on, man? I'm back. Oh, my God, Jalen, how you been? You got us taking Richie Grant in the second. I love it. I love you too, man. I love it. Thank you for coming back, Jalen. I did not see you pop on. I would have given you a call out sooner. Yes, we can go back over a little bit of what's gone on so far for anybody who's joined. Second round started out Carlos Basham to the Jaguars, Rondale Moore to the Jets, Gregory Rousseau to the Falcons, Jalen Phillips to the Miami Dolphins. That's where his fall ends. Terrence Marshall to the Eagles, Dwayne Eskridge to the Bengals, Eric Stokes to the Panthers, Spencer Brown to the Denver Broncos, Trevon Moehrig to the Detroit Lions, Jamin Davis to the New York Giants, Ifeatu Melifonwu to the San Francisco 49ers, Richie Grant to the Dallas Cowboys, Kelvin Joseph to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Elijah Molden to the Falcons, Liam Eichenberg to the Chargers, Peyton Turner to the Las Vegas Raiders, Amon-Ra St. Brown to the Cardinals, Kadarius Toney to the Miami Dolphins, Zaven Collins to the Washington Football Teams, Tyson Campbell to the Chicago Bears, Titans take on Brady Christensen, Colts get Diami Brown, Najee Harris goes to the Steelers. I forgot most of the running backs later until like halfway through the second round, but I actually do think teams are going to start looking a lot of the value in this draft class and jumping on certain like positions where it's deeper than like you maybe would expect in some drafts, but also where it's going to start drying up in the second, third round area. That's why Tyson Campbell went at 52. I think corners are going to start going quick. Offensive linemen will go quick in the second round. After Najee Harris, Joe Tryon to the Seattle Seahawks. Javonte Williams got in a trade up from the Jacksonville Jaguars with the LA Rams. They had 58 overall, Ronnie Perkins to the Baltimore Ravens. Alim McNeil to the Browns. Yes, they are complaining that I didn't get a corner, I'm sure, deep in their hearts. Wyatt Davis to the Saints. Trey Smith to the Bills, Paulson Adebo to the Packers, Landon Dickerson to the Kansas City Chiefs, Travis Etienne to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Kellen Mond to the Bears in a trade-up again with the LA Rams, Ben Cleveland to the Jets, Davis Mills in a trade-up by the Steelers, Aaron Robinson to the Falcons, Quinn Moretz to the Bengals, Milton Williams to the Eagles, Jabril Cox to the Broncos, and now we're back at where we were at with Barrett Browning going to the Detroit Lions, Pat Freiermuth going to the Panthers, who I'm pretty sure some people have already had go to both the Panthers in the second round, to the Jags in the second round. It seems to be a common pick. I think they might look at more defensive players early on. Washington football team is now on the board. Not any quarterbacks they might really want to take. I think Jamie Newman's more of a day 3 guy. Kyle Trask's more of a day 3 guy. Could they take another D tackle? Maybe. I had them going linebacker in the first round. I think there's been a little bit of talk about maybe them going. Thanks for the recap. I thought I'd recap for you. Plus, there's people who maybe pop on and also want to check it out. And we get to like this stage of it, and they're like, "Wait, what's going on with this?" So it's 74 overall, Washington football team. I like that the running back room there, so I'm not too worried about running back. So I'm not going to take Carter here. Levi Onwuzurike is still on the board. I don't know where he goes in this draft. I don't know how teams are going to value him. They're getting to the end of Jonathan Allen's deal, so this could be a spot for him. Nick Bolton still on the board, but I think did I have them already go linebacker? I think I did. Yes, Zaven Collins, who went really late in this draft, but I feel like it depends on the team that's taking him. He's a very schematic fit kind of guy. J2 Fela, again, I think running back is still on the board. Wide receivers probably on the board. Amari Rogers would be a good maneuver here, right? Who'd I have him take in the first? Mac Jones in the first. And then with Washington taking Zay, yes, Amari Rogers would be a good fit for him. 75 overall. Dallas Cowboys. I gotta make Jalen proud. Let's look at what we got. Why is everything slowing down all of a sudden? Oh, you guys need D tackle. The thing is, the D tackles that are left, it's weird. I feel like it would be a really big reach if I took Tyler Shelvin, even though that'd probably be a guy who they probably value. Levi Onwuzurike, 290 pass rusher. I could totally see them going this route because they kind of do need more of a pass rush presence outside DeMarcus Lawrence and what's his name? Randy Gregory. Thank you. Cowboys should take a linebacker here or DT. Yeah, I'm leaning DT. Linebacker would be an interesting one. I don't know how they would value Pete Werner or Nick Bolton. Dylan Moses, he could get he didn't come back very well from the injury, so I'm not quite sure how I would value him. Nick Bolton be an interesting one. I like Nick Bolton quite a bit. I think this is kind of far for him. But again, his when he tested, the athleticism didn't really show up. D tackle is definitely one of the options here. J2 Fele, Tommy Togiai. I think teams are going to be afraid of Togiai because he probably was better at nose and as a run stopper, and it doesn't really have the pass rush repertoire of, say, even Alim McNeil, let alone Christian Barmore. I could see teams liking him because, again, he was really tough against the run. Linebacker, Nick Bolton. Davion Nixon be an interesting one. Again, another 3-tech kind of guy. Levi Onwuzurike. Yeah, let's go with it. I think Levi Onwuzurike would be an interesting 3-tech kind of guy if they wanted to jump on it. Big Bobby Brown. I like Bobby Brown too, man. I do. Young, athletic, tested really well as pro day. Actually showed pretty well in film. The Texas A&M kid. I don't know how teams value him though. I think he might go earlier than we're all expecting. I think he might go maybe in this range, so maybe they would jump on him. Levi Onwuzurike is not the same style kind of guy. Bobby Brown and Tyler Shelvin are more, one-tech guys going to stop the run. I think if you see a guy who can maybe rush the passer from the interior, maybe they double dip and they go one-tech later. Because I feel like the run stuffers, the one-techs, they've become such a devalued position because they aren't playing a lot. So I do think Shelvin and Bobby Brown and those style guys are going to fall to maybe the 4th round, 5th round, and that's where teams will go ahead and jump on it. It seems like a lot of role players in this D-tackle class for the most part, and I think Levi Onwuzurike has the high upside as far as as a 3-tech pass rusher. I think a lot of people are mocking him even in the first round. I think that's really rich, especially because his scheme, they didn't utilize him in a way that would maybe accentuate what he does well. Like I said, he beats up guys in a bull rush and gets one-on-one with you. He utilizes that athleticism really well, but they ran him a lot at nose, and they were very weird. The Washington defense did a lot of that. We're going to go ahead and rush 3 guys, and you saw him get a lot of good push and a lot of good movement, so I kind of do like him at that spot. I could see them going D-tackle again because it does seem like one of the bigger needs that they have. 76 overall, the Giants are on the board. I wouldn't be shocked if this is where we see, Shelvin or Bobby Brown go, because it's such a Gettleman move. I don't know how Gettleman's going to value somebody who opted out, though. Gettleman, in this scenario, took Jamin Davis in the second round and Tevin Jenkins. So I don't know how they... You know what? I think Hunter Long could definitely be on the table. I think Brevin Jordan's fallen in some people's graces because he didn't test as well. Tommy Tremble is still on the board. I think this is really early for him. Hunter Long would be an interesting one because he's kind of like your typical tight end build and body and style. Milton Williams is good too. I already had them go. I think the Eagles are going to be targeting young athletic dudes who can maybe develop into guys. Hunter Long to the Giants. I could easily see them taking Tyler Shelvin here as well. I had the Chargers take Liam Eichenberg and Jalen Waddle so far. I think they probably have to look corner. Corner's in a really bad position at this spot. Benjamin St-Juste could maybe sneak into the third round, I'm thinking. I wouldn't be shocked if he went here. Could they go linebacker? I think they traded up into the first round last year to take a linebacker. Don't know how eager they'd be to go do that again. Davion Nixon to the Chargers, get a 3-tech kind of pass rush guy. This spot, it seems like a good spot to take him. There's some people, he's their top D-tackle in this draft class or their second D-tackle. He had statistically speaking, like the stats look really good for Davion Nixon. Tape-wise, he kind of gets washed out a bit. Again, he's more of a 3-tech. I like Nixon. I think he'll probably go day 2, early second round. So this is maybe a little late for him. Vikings are on the board. They have not drafted since the first round. They're going to look at whatever offensive lineman they can, I think, at this point, or wide receiver. I don't know. I don't think they're going to go Nico Collins or Tylan Wallace or Tutu Atwell. Could this be a spot where Schwartz or Darden or even, they don't have a tall guy on their roster. Where's that dude? Where is, not Schwartz, the Tennessee kid, Josh Palmer. I know they have Josh Palmer really low on Pro Football Network, but to be honest, Palmer's going to sneak in to the third round somewhere, maybe into the second round, and I think PFF's kind of high on him too. Raiders are on the board now. Who I had them take offensive line in the first round because that's pretty much what they got to do. Peyton Turner in the second round. Linebacker could probably be an option here. I think, they would look Dylan Moses or Nick Bolton. I think this would totally be what. Yeah, I have Nick Bolton going to the Raiders here. This sounds like such a Mike Mayock move, except this might be one of his good ones. And since they have back-to-back picks, let's see who else they might like to take. Edge rusher, Rashad Weaver, still on the board. Oh, that would maybe pair him up with... I kind of wouldn't mind pairing him up with Peyton Turner. Two very different style edge rushers, 2 different ages, 2 different developmental tracks. Both big 4-3 DNs, which I remember them like making a big deal about why they didn't take Josh Allen all those years ago. Rashad Weaver would be a good pickup for them here. I don't think they would go that route. They could go Tyler Shelvin, but they just re-sign Damon Harris. I can't see them going running back again. I could see them going offensive line again. I think actually it'd be a smart move if they went offensive line again. Josh Myers from Ohio State still on the board. Drake Jackson out of Kentucky. Seems a little high for those kind of guys. Deontay Brown is still on the board. Aaron Banks out of Notre Dame. First round we had them going Darisaw to be the right tackle. I think getting getting one of the Notre Dame offensive linemen, I think Aaron Banks would be perfect for them here. Let's see. Miami Dolphins are on the board. So far in this lovely draft, I've had them take Kadarius Toney, Jalen Phillips at 36, Micah Parsons, and then obviously Kyle Pitts early in the first. So there are no offensive linemen that they have taken so far, I believe, out of words that have come out of my mouth. Yes, Kadarius Toney. Offensive lineman, OT, Jalen Mayfield, Walker Little. Walker Little would be the perfect pick for them here. Another guy who's kind of a high upside pick, hasn't played in 2 years, but you're now in the third round trying to find a tackle who could play for you and be a starter. He's had some injury issues, and he opted out this last year. Walker Little. Stone Forsythe, another guy might sneak up on some teams. He's another guy who I think could maybe get up this high. Walker Little or Stone Forsythe. You know what? I think I'm going to go Stone Forsythe here. I think that would maybe be what, because I think they would maybe look at maybe taking a tackle at this spot. 82 overall, Washington football team's now back on the board. They have taken Zaven Collins and Mac Jones and Amari Rodgers. This is where Walker Little goes off the board. I think they still need to kind of look at offensive linemen. I know they feel okay with Cornelius Lucas and the guys they have on their offensive line. They got Morgan Moses. He's getting a little bit older. Brandon Sheriff's on that crazy franchise tag deal of $18 million for a guard. That sounds nutso to me, but hey, they decided to do it. So now they get Walker Little in the room, kind of become a developmental left tackle, see what he puts on tape. They did draft Sadiq Charles in the mid-rounds last year. I don't think that prevents you from drafting anybody at this point. LA Rams are now on the board after trading back multiple times already in this draft. Jalen Mayfield, Jackson Carman might be an interesting one. They definitely need to look at tackle past Andrew Whitworth territory because he's getting old. They could also look at Tommy Tremble. They did just lose Gerald Everett. And I think Tommy Tremble would be that interesting kind of usable move tight end slash H-back that they can kind of get some interesting use out of. Brevin Jordan, I think his stock kind of might have taken a little bit of a hit because he definitely looks athletic on tape and he didn't test well. So I don't know if there's maybe something with like the testing. Maybe he wasn't feeling well. Maybe there was an injury. With the LA Rams, I could see them going tight end here, especially because they ran a lot more two tight end sets. I think they would find a way to use Tommy Tremble. I think they would like him. Wide receiver, yeah, there's not a wide receiver I'd want them to take here anyway. So Tommy Tremble goes at 83. 84, Philadelphia Eagles are on the board. I had them already take, where'd the Eagles go? Milton Williams in the third, and I had them take Terrence Marshall in the second. They're just going to be looking for young athletic dudes. J.C. Horn in the first. I think that was a good pickup for them, especially if they're going to run a lot more man coverage. Which has not really been their typical style. Linebacker, they've never really cared much for, although I could see them going Pete Werner. I don't think that would be where they would go. I can't see them taking a running back at this spot. Offensive line, looking at guards, Brandon Brooks tore his Achilles last year. You might want to have to look. You probably do have to look at offensive line at some point in this draft. David Moore, Grambling State. Deontay Brown. They might trade back to try to pick up some more picks and just get guys in camp for them. This might be a little early for Deontay Brown. They also got to look at center. I think Deontay Brown, though, because, again, they definitely need to look at guard, specifically because, again, like I mentioned before, Brandon Brooks that tore his Achilles. They're kind of getting older on that offensive line. I wouldn't be shocked if they were one of the teams to take the shot on Landon Dickerson at some point. Jalen Mayfield's been talked about a bit at guard. I don't know how I feel about that. James Hudson was a guy who was supposed to be this developmental big shot. He just it didn't test very well either. They could also go wide receiver again. I think it's a little bit early for a guy like Jalen Darden or Seth Williams or Sage Surratt. I think that's a little early for a lot of those kind of guys. I think guard's got to be where it goes. I'm going Deontay Brown here. I want Deontay Brown back with the Jets because I already drafted him the guard out of Georgia with Ben Cleveland to get Deontay Brown, and I want to see all three of those guys on one offensive line. That would be sick. Deontay Brown and Ben Cleveland and Mekhi Becton. You'd have one of the heaviest offensive lines in the league. You wouldn't be able to get through it. Just be a big weight show. 85 overall. The Titans are on the board. I've previously had them take Brady Christensen in the second round. It might seem a little bit high, but I think the issue with Brady Christensen is the age. He's been a solid player, and I think that's what they're going to look for. They're going to look for a solid, stable player for right tackle, to compete at right tackle, maybe the swing tackle going forward for right now, and if he could beat out Kendall Lamb for the right tackle spot. I think between that, Caleb Farley, they got to go wide receiver at this point, right? Who might they go for? I could see Tylan Wallace out of Oklahoma State. Pair him up with A.J. Brown. They might go the next few picks going wide receiver. Jalen Darden, while this would be really early for him, he's 5'7", but he's got lateral quickness that's like impressive as hell. I guess I've said before, he kind of reminds me of a little bit shorter Deontay Johnson, who was the guy out of Toledo who went to the Steelers. I think now you're getting another small school guy out of North Texas. Tape's kind of hard sometimes because you're seeing them beat guys who aren't going to be playing in the NFL. I'd be interested in that. Marquise Stevenson out of Houston, Seth Williams, Anthony Schwartz out of Auburn, Shi Smith's more of a slot guy. Maybe they look at him in the next round. Sage Surratt. Tylan Wallace, I think, would be an interesting one. Tutu Atwell, I don't think is going to go that high. So, yes, we have Tylan Wallace going to the Titans. I think that's an option for them in round 3 to be a wide receiver for them. I think I maybe would have went for maybe another speed guy in a different mock draft if there was somebody else that fell, or if there was somebody again in the second round that they might have preferred. 86 overall, the Jets are on the board. Oh, what could they do? Well, so far I've had the Jets take Gregory Rousseau, Ezra Cleveland, Zach Wilson, and Azeez Ojulari. Did I take Gregory Rousseau? No, Rondale Moore. I'm sorry. So they took a wide receiver, an edge rusher, quarterback, and guard. I could see them doubling up on guard if they liked it enough. Center, I wouldn't put them totally out on trying to go grab a center, especially as it maybe becomes a more limited position for them. I could also see them going Michael Carter here. You get a guy who can catch passes out of the backfield, solid running back, the same backfield as Javonte Williams, but he was more of the pass catcher. Good ability to actually make yards after contact. I think that's a good spot for him to go. 87 overall. You get the Texans. They traded back a little while ago with the Steelers, so the Steelers can go ahead and get Davis Mills. I could see them trading back again because this is very much a thing that I would expect the new GM over there to do, because it's very similar to what he used to do when he was with the Patriots. They would trade back, accumulate picks, try to take guys in the mid-rounds. Who would they take here? Rashad Weaver's still on the board. They do need to fix a little bit of that defense. D-tackle, J2 Fele, Tyler Shelvin, Bobby Brown. I could see them going nose tackle here because they were just beat up all the time anywhere you went. I think Rashad Weaver, this might be the end of the fall for him. Safety, Javon Holland. I was talking before about Elijah Molden. Javon Holland's got a very similar usage, kind of slot corner. Man, Jalen, I'm doing well for you, huh, man? The Raiders, good fit for the Raiders. Carter's interesting, like the pick. Because I feel like the Jets aren't going to spend a high pick on a running back, but I felt like that was a good spot for them. 87 overall, the Texans, I could see them going safety. They already have a good safety there. But again, you can never have too many good safeties in this time in the NFL. Corner, is there a corner I could see them going for? Oh, I don't know what they're going to be doing with that corner room. I don't know what their defense is going to look like next year, to be honest, because it's still a little bit more confused as to what they're even looking at. Rashad Weaver, I think either D tackle or edge, and I'm going to go Rashad Weaver here. I think this is he's a good edge setter. They traded for Shaq Lawson. He's actually kind of got a similar build to Shaq Lawson, so now you get two guys on the edge who can kind of push the pocket. maintain the edge, be able to stop the run. I think that's going to be a big deal for the Houston Texans. LA Rams, 88 overall. They took Tommy Tremble. They could trade back from here because, again, I've mentioned this before. This is kind of a thing that they do. They just got rid of Michael Brockers, so maybe they look here to maybe get another D tackle, kind of be more of the run stuffer to pair with Aaron Donald. They could also look corner, offensive line. I had him take Tommy Tremble, so yeah, they could look at Jalen Mayfield. Jackson Carman be an interesting one for them. I think tackle. I've constantly had them take tackles in the past. And they don't do it. They don't listen to me. And they've been fine without listening to me. So you know what? Maybe they know what they're doing better than I do. Javon Holland, again, another guy I could see a team really liking. They just lost John Johnson III. I could definitely see that working for them, to be honest. I kind of like that. He doesn't really play the same role as John Johnson III. He's more of a slot corner safety hybrid, kind of in the Budda Baker role. So I could see Javon Holland here. All right, go Javon Holland. Browns are on the clock, right? 89 overall. We're going to look at offense, wide receivers, Nico Collins, Tutu Atwell, Marquise Stevenson, Seth Williams, Jalen Darden, Anthony Schwartz, Demetric Felton. I know they've met with Demetric Felton. I don't know if that really is going to change anything for him. He tested out really bad. He's more going to be a day 3 kind of guy. He was mostly running back in his later years in college. But he had the high school background of playing wide receiver. I think he's gonna go day 3 and he's gonna have a role on a team. He's gonna be a solid player for somebody. I'm gonna go Anthony Schwartz out of Auburn. They're gonna look for a speed guy, right? They needed that. If you look at the playoff game where they played the Kansas City Chiefs, nobody was getting free in man coverage. Anthony Schwartz, he ran a really good 40. He might go way higher than this. I think they got lucky here. I think you can line him up on the outside. He's a younger guy, so he's more of a developmental a little bit. Like, he's still, I think, 20-something. He's going to be one of the youngest guys, I think, on the team at that point. I like Anthony Schwartz for them at 89, and they get a guy who can maybe be a deep threat, maybe run him out of the slot. He can run on the outside. I think Schwartz would be the perfect pick for them here. 90 overall, Minnesota Vikings. So far, I've had the Vikings take... Who did I have them take? Oh, that's right. They didn't have a second round pick. They had the third round pick. Where did I lose you? Vikings. Oh, they took Josh Palmer, wide receiver out of Tennessee, and in the first round, I had them take Kwity Paye. All right. Offense guard. Look at this. Dave Moore, Grambling State, I think is going to get a little bit underrated in the outside draft process, but I think this could be where he goes. Robert Hainsey out of Notre Dame. I think he should go to I think Hainsey is one of those guys who should go to a team where they have a little bit more of an established offensive line coach. Kendrick Green out of Illinois. I think they're going to go guard here because they do need to fix the guard position there. Green or Moore? Let's see. Green or Moore? Green or Moore sounds like just the name of a golf course. I'm going to go Kendrick Green. I probably would have went David Moore out of Grambling State. He did really well at the Senior Bowl. Held up really well in the one-on-ones. And when you have a guard who's holding up well in one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl, kind of like that. That's a position where you are in you're in a more adverse situation. Guards aren't usually going up against guys on one-on-one on the NFL on the field because you usually have a center you can pass a guy off to or the tackle. You have more of a confined space. So 91 overall, back with the Browns. I could see them trading back, trying to accumulate future capital. But I don't see anything here where they're going to be able to do that here. I think they maybe would have done it in the second or third round. To review, Browns took Anthony Schwartz literally 30 seconds ago, Alim McNeil in the second, and Jason Owe in the first. I think they would absolutely look at corner. I think if the board fell like this, they'd probably be mad at me. I'd probably get thrown out of the Browns clubs. I could totally see them going Benjamin St-Juste. Shakur Brown did not run very well. Trill Williams is an option. I'm going to go... I think Benjamin St. Juste is going to go way earlier than this. Tay Gowan. I'm a little shocked that Tay Gowan's gone this far down. Should be a solid guy. I'm not quite sure. I know PFF loves Tay Gowan, and I think he's going to be more of a mid-round guy. I don't think he's going to go like 300 like Pro Football Network has him going. Linebacker, they can go Warner, they can go Dylan Moses. I think they'll still wait another round to go linebacker. This is where I could see Tyler Shelvin or Bobby Brown going. They just released Sheldon Richardson. Now he's technically more of a oh no, they just had him take Lynn McNeil. So this is why you don't take nose tackles in the second round, Walter. There you go. I would have saved us all a headache. Now I got to figure this out. Now the Browns fans are really pissed at me. I already went offense a little bit. Is anybody falling on offense though? Because they might put themselves in a situation where they see a guy. I think David Moore they would jump after a little bit later on. Kyle Trask. No, they're not going to take Kyle Trask. They already got a quarterback. Warner, Hamza Naziruddin. I think they'd like to take him, maybe turn him into a linebacker kind of mold. Tommy Togiai, Pete Werner. I'm going to go Hamza Naziruddin. Also, Jamar Johnson's still on the board. I think they could also go that route as well. 92 overall. Guess what? Jamar Johnson's still on the board. I had the Packers previously go Paulson Adebo and Elijah Moore. I think they could definitely address safety a little bit more. I think they would like that. They're also a team that seems to be going more towards the analytics route, and more analytics teams seem to be jumping after safeties over linebackers, and I don't mind that mindset either. 93 overall. Bills are on the board. So far, I've had them take Trey Smith and Asante Samuel Jr. Offensively, I think they look at wide receiver, Nico Collins, Tutu Atwell, Jalen Darden, Seth Williams. Oh, who could they go for? Oh, Seth Williams would be an interesting one because he's more of a size guy. He's not really a separation dude. Tutu Atwell is like 155. He's tiny. He's more of a gadget dude. At 93, that's not a bad spot to take a gadget guy. He didn't run that fast, though, for a gadget guy. Jalen Darden. Let's go. Yeah, that's right. We're going to get a guy who I think can actually separate. You can play him a little bit out of the slot. Josh Allen's tall enough where you can find him on the field because like Jalen Darden's like 5'7.5". So yeah, Jalen Darden, one of my favorites in this draft class, 93 overall to the Buffalo Bills. I don't think too many people are seeing him going in the third round, but I could totally see a team that's like, you know what? We missed out on a lot of the good separators in this class. I think Darden goes before Tutu Atwell. He's a little bit better built. 94 overall, Kansas City Chiefs are on the board. Dear God, we're almost at 1 o'clock in the morning. 15 minutes away. We'll be fine. Dylan Radins, Landon Dickinson, they went back-to-back offensive linemen. Now I think they open it up a little bit, right? They go ahead and say, you know what else can we get? Defensively, I could see them taking tackle. I could see them, I don't see them going linebacker. Edge rushers, Jordan Smith, Ellerson Smith, a lot of Smith and Smith. Dayo Odeyingbo, the Vanderbilt kid. I think Osa Adigizua is still on the board. Dayo Odeyingbo had the Achilles injury, and I don't think teams are going to be over eager to go ahead and draft him. I could see them going Ellerson Smith. They would probably need a guy to kind of replace, I think Passanio left in free agency, so maybe they need a guy to replace him. Cam Sample would be really early here. Patrick Jones just did not look good down at the Senior Bowl or at his pro day. So I'm going to go Ellerson Smith. A friend of mine turned me on to him recently. Friend of mine, Marcus Harvey, he was telling me to go check him out, and I think he's going to be a day 2 kind of guy. So now Northern Iowa edge rusher goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Now they get a guy to rotate to be on the edge with Frank Clark and Chris Jones on that defensive line. 95 overall, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the board. And previously I've had them take Travis Etienne really late in the second round, but I think Etienne's going to go further back than people think, and Joseph Osai in the first round. Defense, look at some safeties. They could take Ardarius Washington. I think this is a little early for him. Who are your biggest sleepers in this year's draft? I think I keep on giving my sleep. Like I think so. Sleepers are weird because like I I think there's guys who are going to go later. Like you mentioned Bobby Brown. I think he's going to go later. He might end up being really good. I don't know if anybody is a true sleeper. Usually, like at least from my perspective, are there guys who I like maybe more so than like who might go on day 3? Like I don't like. Would you consider Rashad Weaver a sleeper if he goes in the 4th round? And I think he's more of a maybe a 3rd rounder, or he goes in the 5th rounder. Like I think sleeper's kind of a weird thing because I don't have the ability to project what an NFL team does for them. I'll say this: Kellen Mond. I recently was going over some more of his game, and I like Kellen Mond a lot. Again, not a sleeper, right? He's gonna go day 2. But he's a guy who I like a lot, and I'm like, I wouldn't want this guy starting all 17 games. But man, I would not mind him being my backup. And I think some teams are going to look at him as maybe potentially like that day 2 developmental guy. I think he has enough to be a solid, like a 15 to 25 player in the NFL, like as a quarterback. Not bad, but if he's like 20 to 30, he's a high-end backup at that point. You're either a high-end backup or a fringe starter at that stage, and I think that's kind of who I like there. Davis Mills has that athleticism, the accuracy. I like Darius Washington a lot. I don't know if the Bucs would take him. I think a lot of teams are going to look down on his injury, not his injury, his height and size. Andre Sisco's also on the board. He's the guy who I was going to talk about with injury. I think they can go Cisco here. I think that would be an interesting one because they do need a safety outside of Antoine Winfield. Pair him up, get a athletic guy. Todd Bowles could definitely coach him up, and if you get his, Kellen Mond is a solid backup developmental QB for sure. Yeah, that's the thing. Like it's weird because we never get that like perfect spot for those kind of guys. They're either going to go too high or they're going to fall too far back. I think he's kind of like in that mold of like Jalen Hurts, probably a guy who should maybe go day 2. Will end up probably either going day 3 or get overdrafted to be somebody's starter, and he'll be good enough where he could play for a long time. Andre Cisco goes 95 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I just think that Todd Bowles can utilize that athleticism. 96 overall, Patriots. Got Darius Washington still on the board. I like him a lot. Previously, I think, again, this is a team that always trades back like crazy. Did they not take anybody? No, they traded up, right? So they didn't have a pick up until this point because they took Justin Fields. Offense, wide receiver, Nico Collins still on the board. Tutu Atwell. They would be the team to take Tutu Atwell at this stage. K. Johnson. Daz Newsome was kind of slowish, slower than I expected. I thought Daz Newsome was going to be a little bit faster. Damn, is there not like a single guy that I like at this spot for them? They could definitely look at tackle, guard, wide receiver, running back. You know what? No, they just got James White back, so I don't think they would. I think D tackle they could look at. They've constantly been the team that drafts and just loves having a defensive lineman and offensive lineman. They win through the trenches. D tackle, Shelvin. Getting a guy like Tyler Shelvin, this is a brick shithouse. Marlon Tuipulotu, Bobby Brown. Oh my God, they would do that. Marvin Wilson. Marvin Wilson's weird because I feel like the issue with Marvin Wilson was a little bit of scheme change and a little bit of the knee thing and a little bit of not having an off season. So I think Marvin Wilson might bounce back. I don't think he fits. Like him going to the Patriots would be the worst thing for him because I don't think he fits what the Patriots do. They prefer having like a true nose tackle or kind of a 3-4 DN kind of setup a lot of the time. I think Shelvin or Bobby Brown here would be interesting. Is there an edge rusher I like here? No, I think I'm gonna go. I think Bobby Brown. I think they might like that athleticism. I think unfortunately the Patriots stole Bobby Brown for you, buddy. Unfortunately, I'm not doing a 4th round anyway on this, so it's not gonna matter. I'm not. These picks aren't final. 97 overall. I had the Chargers already take Davion Nixon, and previous to that, Liam Eichenberg, and previous to that, Jalen Waddle. Edge rusher Quincy Roche would be an interesting thing. I think he'd be very interesting. I don't know how they would utilize him. He's a kind of a fun edge rusher to look at in space. It's kind of like he can drop back. We were so close, right? I'm sorry Maybe Dallas. Oh yeah, wait, Dallas is up, and I can't believe it. I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry about that now because Dallas is up in like 3 picks. Didn't even realize that coming up. Quincy Roche would be an interesting one here. I do think the Chargers need somebody to kind of take a little bit of pressure off of Joey Bosa. They will find ways to get him freed up. So I could see them going defensive line here, or edge rusher. Tommy Togiai would be an interesting one. Again, I had the Chargers previously take Davion Nixon. And then previous to that, Liam Eichenberg. Could they take a guard here? Sure. What guards are available? Royce Newman, David Moore, Robert Hainsey. I think this is a little early for all those guys. Brevin Jordan, Kenny Yeboah. I don't think either of those guys go here. Although they did just lose. Hunter Henry. I don't think this is the worst spot to take Brevin Jordan. Yeah, Brevin Jordan. You're not getting the athlete we all thought we were getting, but I think Brevin Jordan here is a good option. I was thinking Quincy Roche for a couple of minutes, but I don't know, again, without knowing how that defense is really going to look, because I think Staley's going to adapt that defense to what works for him. You got Derwin James. You have Joey Bosa there. They did sign Mike Davis, the cornerback, to an extension, 3-year deal, and they got rid of Casey Hayward. So they got rid of the Hayward corner, and now, again, they're a little bit younger on defense. They could also go corner as well. But again, I feel like corner's going to dry up in that 2 to 3 round range. 98 overall. Looking at the Saints, so far the Saints have taken Wyatt Davis and Rashad Bateman. Offense, is there a quarterback that's still available? Kyle Trask would be a weird one for them. Jamie Newman, this would be really high for him. He's got that upside of maybe being like he could hit any of the throws. If he developed correctly, I think he'd be an interesting one for them. I would be shocked if Jamie Newman went this high, but Felipe Franks out of Arkansas, Ian Book. There's a lot of those like athletic quarterbacks this year who might be interesting to take up as like an option later on. Safety, Ardarius Washington. They are potentially going to lose. They lost Alex Anzalone, so they can maybe use a better coverage linebacker or even a safety. Pete Werner, Dylan Moses, Chess Surratt. This could be where he goes. Justin Hilliard, edge rusher, Quincy Roche. Offense, Jalen Mayfield. I already had him take offensive line. Otherwise, I'd probably do it again because it's just how they work a little bit. Did I have... They had Bateman, right? So, I'm thinking here, Jamie Newman. There we go. They don't have to... Jamie Newman doesn't have to hit, but I think at 98, it's worth the risk. Now you have a guy you have as a developmental backup. They have Taysom Hill. They have Jameis Winston. Now they're going to get to see maybe a third guy who can maybe develop an athletic dude. Didn't get to play at Georgia, ended up playing at Wake Forest. Played at Wake Forest and went to transfer to Georgia. Everything kind of shut down, and he said, you know what, I'm opting out. I'll just get ready for next year. Did not have the best Senior Bowl, but keep in mind that was like the first time he played football in about a year, so that kind of does that to you. Dallas is on the board. I gotta do well for you, my friend. I'm sorry. Offensive line, right? I haven't had him take an offensive lineman yet. I think they do that in this draft. Richie Grant, and who did I have him take in the first round? Patrick Surtain. I could see him going offensive line. I could see him going, and also I had them already take Levi Muzuriki. D tackle. I think the nose to pair up with them. Marvin Wilson would be an interesting one here. He's more of a nose shade kind of guy, so you're gonna have him lining up like at one tack where he's slightly over the center. Again, I think he's an interesting one to see where his eval comes in. I think they do have to get better on the interior because you need not just like a pass rushing D tackle. You need a guy who could stop the run, especially at this range. You could get a guy like Tyler Shelvin. I think Tyler Shelvin's going to be one of those guys that gets drafted later than a bunch of dudes and ends up playing really long. So I'm mixed between Marvin Wilson and Shelvin. I think they could also look at wide receiver, but again, like how this wide receiver board broke down, I don't see anybody I'd feel over eager for them to go after. They are potentially going to lose Michael Gallup next year. You're saying we need a one tech badly. You know what? Shelvin, go for it. He could play 0. He could play 1. I think Shelvin gets a. If you want to watch some good film, watch Shelvin versus Landon Dickerson, and that was a battle of two titans. It just two badass big dudes. I think I would maybe prefer Shelvin over Marvin Wilson, just given the safety of what I know what Shelvin is. I also think Shelvin could push the pocket a little bit better than people give him credit for, and the battle between him and Dickerson was just one of those better tapes where I go, like, this is what he is in the NFL. Is he gonna like? And if he develops, he could be even better than this. And it wasn't even one of his best games, and I thought it was a very good game by him. And again, Dickerson I think Dickerson without the ACL injury is a top 10 tackle. So, a tackle, top first round center is what I meant to say. Yeah. Otherwise, I probably would have looked at maybe some guards or something here. They have Connor Williams. They still have Zach Martin, who's great. I honestly think they should look at center. Because the guys who they have on the roster, I don't think they stop you from looking at center. That's just my opinion on it. I think they still have Connor McGovern there too. They have like an interesting depth at center because they drafted the Washington guy last year, like day 3. So 100 overall. Love the pick. Awesome. Thank you, Jayland. I feel like that was a good move because I felt like Shelvin. If you're going to go for the guy who has to stop the run, Shelvin's the guy you want to get. 100 overall. Titans are on the board. Titans took Tylan Wallace, Brady Christensen, and I also had them take Caleb Farley. If we go wide receiver here too. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised either. That's definitely a wide receiver for them, for the Dallas Cowboys. Again, they're losing Gallup. They still have CeeDee Lamb. Like, they're going to lose Gallup next year. So, CeeDee Lamb is really good, and I like what I've seen from this early this season. Just watching that wide receiving core, their defense was horrible, and they were still in every game that Dak Prescott played because by all means they had CeeDee Lamb, Amari Cooper, and Michael Gallup. You could not cover all 3 of those guys, and that was back when the offensive line was bad. That's also kind of why I think they look at offensive line too in this range. 100 overall. What could they get? I think I could totally see the Titans going wide receiver again. Previously, I had the Titans taking Tylan Wallace. I could see them going Shi Smith, Tutu Atwell. It might be a little high for Tutu. Nico Collins would be an interesting one. If they wanted to get A.J. Brown more snaps out of the slot or at flanker, then Nico Collins would probably be a good pickup by them. I kind of want them to go a little bit more speed. The problem is there's not really much speed left, I think, at least in my opinion, of guys who I'd really want to take. I'm probably going to lean here with... they could go Demetric Felton. That'd be an interesting one because that'd be a guy who they could probably switch up as a running back, wide receiver mix. Yeah, we basically had fans playing offensive line for... I know, it was almost as bad as watching Ben DiNucci play quarterback. Like, to know that I like Gilbert, I think he's going to be a solid backup for y'all, and he's definitely better than Ben DiNucci, and he even looked better. I kind of made you guys look competitive against the Steelers, which was kind of fun. So I liked Gilbert. I think he's going to be a good backup for you behind Dak Prescott. 100 overall. Could they go for different? They could go Kenny Yeboah here out of Mississippi. It's about the range where he should probably go. They did just lose Jonnu Smith, who's his twin went a few picks before this. Brevin Jordan. It's got to be wide receiver or tight end here. I'm gonna go Yeboah. 100 overall. I think they need a tight end back. 101 overall. Detroit Lions are on the board. They took Baron Browning at 72. They took Trevon Moehrig at 41. They're just rebuilding this team piece by piece. Jamar Chase at 7. All in. See defense. See corner. Trill Williams, DJ Daniel, Rodoris, Benjamin St. Juice. I don't know what they're doing as far as they have decent corners already. They spent a high pick on Jeffrey Okudah last year. They got a Mario Oruwariye. Very fun name to say, Oruwariye. Did they already take a safety? Trevon Moehrig, yeah. So I don't think they take a safety. D tackle will be an interesting one. They did just get rid of Danny Shelton, one of my favorite players, D tackle, formerly of Cleveland, big dude, good run stuffer. He just went to the Giants, so they're going to be hard to run on. I could see them going D tackle here. Tommy Togiai, Marvin Wilson. One of those guys I think would be very good for them. I think I'm going to lean Marvin Wilson here. I like Togiai though. I like Marvin Wilson because I think I know what he can be when he comes, if he's fully healthy. So I also have friends who'd probably murder me for picking Marvin Wilson over Togiai, but I kind of like what I saw from Marvin Wilson up to this, before this year. We're getting towards the end. San Francisco 49ers are on the board. They have taken Fetu Melifonwu, and obviously I had them take Trey Lance. What could they do here? They could look at D tackle. They lost Salah, so I think that's going to be a big deal for them. Safety, Ardarius Washington, I don't think they would look at. Sean Wade is kind of that weird quasi, slot corner safety kind of guy, and he did not play well this year when he was playing on the outside. Divine Diablo still on the board. I think he's going to go a lot earlier than people expect. Ran 4.4s. People are looking at him as more of a linebacker hybrid. I don't think he goes here though. At 102. Jordan Smith, Dayo Odeyingbo. I think Odeyingbo could go here, offensively speaking, right? I've already had them go Fetu Melifonwu. Offensive guard, I think David Moore, Grambling State, goes here. Like I said, he had a good Senior Bowl. They kind of do need to fix their guard situation. Getting a guy who's kind of a smaller school kind of dude, I think that would fit very well for them to be able to bolster up the interior offensive line ranks. They did just lose their offensive line coach. He actually went with the Jets with Salah. So I don't know who they promoted to be the new O-line coach or if they signed somebody new. 103 overall, the LA Rams are on the board. I had them take Javon Holland. And they went before this, didn't they? Javon Holland and... trying to find the other LA Rams spot. Could have swore they had already drafted before too. And Tommy Tremble, Javon Holland, Tommy Tremble. Offensive line they might look at. I think this is where Jackson Carman comes off the board. Developmental guy to sit behind Andrew Whitworth. They kind of do need to figure out the tackle situation. I think eventually they get rid of the right tackle that's been there forever because Bobby Evans played pretty well for them in spot starts a year ago at tackle. So I'm kind of shocked he hasn't gotten more of an option to play tackle, though I'm sure they're going to keep him at guard. They also traded for the center. I think he's playing center or guard for them. The guy who was drafted by the Browns, and then John Dorsey said, "Hey, you want a guy we drafted at the top of the second for a 5th round pick?" And they traded him. I think it's Austin. Not Austin Ryder. Anyway, Baltimore Ravens are on the clock. We had the last 2 picks: Baltimore Ravens and the Saints. Baltimore Ravens have already gotten themselves. Let's see. Up to this point, we had the Ravens go Creed Humphrey, and then Ronnie Perkins. I think they could look at wide receiver here. Nico Collins could be that outside guy. Good move. I think that I don't think they're going to spend an early pick on wide receiver. I know they spent money on Sammy Watkins. They were in on a lot. I think they could. I'm not saying they won't. And maybe next week I'm going to be the opposite. I'm going to say they're going to definitely go wide receiver in the first 2 rounds. Last night and today, I think they're going to wait a little bit, only because I could see them going after guys, like I said, Nico Collins, maybe some of the speed guys. Terrence Marshall, if he's there in the second round, maybe they trade up to get him. It depends on how guys fall. I just think the Ravens are better off when their O-line is better, and they need to kind of address that issue. Saints are on the board. Had them take Jamie Newman already. I think Demetric Felton could go here. Seth Williams, guard, center, tight end, defense. Let's see. Tommy Togiai would be an interesting one. Marlon Tupelotti out of USC. Are you going to do a live stream during the draft? I actually am. In fact, I'm doing both a live stream and a live show. I'm going to be in Nanuet, New York. We're doing a live show. We're going to have a panel of actually stand-up comedians, local stand-up comedians, and I'll be co-hosted with a friend of mine, Chris de Blasio, because I will be doing a lot of the analyst stuff, and he'll be kind of calling back to the panel. So, and it's going to be a long 3, almost, it could even be 4 hours sometimes with some of how the draft goes. I think it'll probably be done by midnight, day one. But yes, day one, we're doing absolutely a live show and a live stream. It'll be on this channel, so don't worry, Jayland. You'll be able to find it if you pop onto this channel. I'll also be doing day 2. I haven't figured out how I'm working on day 2, if I'm going to do it as a live event as well, but I'm at least minimum going to be doing a stream during the draft, and I'll have maybe some of the guests from that on the show that night as well. But yeah, so it'll be both a live show at the Spot Billiards up in Nanuet, New York. Why Nanuet, New York? Because who wants New York City, right? We'll go to the real heart of New York. Not Albany, not New York City, not Buffalo. We're going to Nanuet. Hell yeah, I'll tune in. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It should be fun. I'm very excited. It's gonna be a big, crazy deal. Because again, I'm doing it as a live event too. So we'll see. If we get people to tune out to this billiards hall. 105 overall. We got, I could see them going linebacker. I could see them go. Oh, this is such a move by them. Divine Diablo. And, oh, my God, the draft is done. Full results. All right, we'll go right back through. 1 overall, Trevor Lawrence. 2 overall, Zach Wilson. 3 overall, Trey Lance. 4 overall, Fields. 5 overall, Penei Sewell. 6 overall, Kyle Pitts. 7 overall, Jamar Chase. 8 overall, Rashawn Slater. 9, we got Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. 10, we got Patrick Surtain. 11, Tevin Jenkins. I'm going to go through this craziness and all this. Yes, Tevin Jenkins. 12, J.C. Horn. 13, Jalen Waddle. 14, Kwity Paye. 15, Devontae Smith. 16, Greg Newsome. 17, Christian Darrisaw. Micah Parsons at 18. 19, we had Mac Jones to the Washington football team. 20, we had Samuel Cosme. 21, Elijah Vera Tucker to the Colts. 22, Caleb Farley. Can't see it on the screen. Oh, I screwed up. Thank you for pointing this out to me. Let's see if I could go here. Oh, here we go. Thanks. Thank you, Jayland. Yes, so now it's back on the screen. So we could scroll right through Trevor Lawrence to the Justin Fields to the Rashawn Slater to the J.C. Horn pick to the Jalen Waddle pick. Then Kwity Paye at 14, Devontae Smith at 15, Greg Newsome. I really think if Kwity Paye is there at 14, I cannot see the Vikings going a different direction than that. I just think the edge rusher thing. I know a lot of people think they're going to go offensive line. Listen, they've done it before, so it's not too crazy. But 17, Darrisaw. 18, Micah Parsons. 19, Mac Jones. 20, Samuel Cosme. 21, Elijah Vera Tucker. 22, Caleb Farley. 23, Azeez Ojulari. 24, Alex Leatherwood. 25, Christian Barmore. 26, Jason Owe. 27, Creed Humphrey. 28, Rashad Bateman. 29, Elijah Moore. 30, I don't know why I was going to say 20. What comes after 29? 20. No, it's 30, Walter. 30, Asante Samuel Jr. 31, Dylan Redons. 32, Joseph Osai. 33, Carlos Basham Jr. 34, Rondale Moore. 35, Gregory Rousseau. 36, Jalen Phillips. 37, Terrence Marshall. 38, Dwayne Eskridge. 39, Eric Stokes. 40, Spencer Brown. 41, Trevon Moehrig. 42, Jamin Davis. 43, Ifeatu Melifonwu. I feel like that'd be a great name to say if you had a French accent. Ifeatu Melifonwu. Richie Grant, 44, to the Dallas Cowboys. Kelvin Joseph at 45. 46, Elijah Molden. 47, Liam Eichenberg. And 48, Peyton Turner. 49, Amon-Ra St. Brown. 50, Kadarius Toney. 51, Zaven Collins. 52, Tyson Campbell. 53, Brady Christensen. 54, Diamond Brown. 55, Najee Harris. 56, Seattle. I think the one mistake I had here, I think Seattle would have traded back. I think it's one of those teams that's going to be trying to collect those mid-round picks. But Joe Tryon, I think they would definitely take a shot at one of the edge rushers if they fell. And I think he adds the athleticism that they'd really like. They could also go offensive line. 57, Javonte Williams. 58, Ronnie Perkins. 59, Alim McNeil. 60, Wyatt Davis. 61, Trey Smith. 62, Paulson Adebo. 63, Landon Dickerson to the Kansas City Chiefs. I think teams are going to be afraid about that ACL, but by God, that'd be a steal by the Chiefs. 64 to the Buccaneers. I do have questions about ETN's vision. 65, we had the Chicago Bears trade up with the LA Rams to get Kellen Mond. 66, Ben Cleveland goes off to the board of the Jets. Again, I want that big-ass offensive line. We were this close to doing it, too. 67, the Steelers go ahead and get Davis Mills in a trade-up with the Texans. Aaron Robinson goes at 68. I think I'm actually kind of liking how the Falcons picks went. Quinn Marins went 69. Nice. 70, Milton Williams went to the Eagles. 71, Jabril Cox to the Broncos. 72, Baron Browning. I think this might have been switched a little bit if it could have went the other way. Pratt Freiermuth fell all the way to the 73 to the Panthers. I actually think he might be getting a little overrated by the media. Amari Rodgers goes 74 to the Washington football teams. 75, Levi Onwuzurike goes to the Dallas Cowboys. Giants get Hunter Long. Chargers get Davion Nixon at 77. Vikings go after Josh Palmer out of Tennessee. 79, Nick Bolton to the Raiders. 80, Aaron Banks to the Raiders. Stone Forsythe goes to Miami. Walker Little goes to Washington football team. Tommy Tremble goes to he was at Notre Dame. Now he's at the LA Rams. Deontay Brown goes to the Eagles. Tylan Wallace goes to the Oklahoma State. Goes to the Titans. You went to Oklahoma State. Now you're getting jumbled. Like a jambalaya. 86, Michael Carter goes to the Jets. 87, Rashad Weaver goes to the Texans. Javon Holland goes to the LA Rams. Anthony Schwartz goes to the Browns. Kendrick Green goes to the Vikings. Hamza Naziruddin goes back to the Browns. Jamar Johnson goes to the Packers. Jalen Darden goes to the Bills. Ellerson Smith goes to the Kansas City Chiefs. Andre Cisco goes to the Buccaneers. Bobby Brown goes to the New England Patriots. At 97, Brevin Jordan goes to the Chargers. The Saints get Jamie Newman. Tyler Shelvin goes to the Cowboys. They go back-to-back D tackles. I don't know how crazy. I think it's crazy to think that they would do it, but hey, you know what? I actually like it. It's what I would do. Kenny Yeboah goes to the Titans. 101, Marvin Wilson to the Lions. 102, David Moore, Grambling State, goes to the San Francisco 49ers. LA Rams grab Jackson Carman at 103. 104, Nico Collins to the Ravens. And then 105, Divine Diablo, my God, a man with a beautiful name. I really do like what the Falcons get out of a trade down. Devontae Smith, Gregory Rousseau, Elijah Molden, Aaron Robinson. I think that helps boost their defense. Plus a first round pick and a second round pick next year. I think it's maybe one of my favorite parts of the mock. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, Jayland. Thank you for all tuning in. If you're not named Jayland as well, you can follow the podcast at DraftVice on Twitter, at DraftVice_football on Instagram. But if you really want to follow anything crazy that comes out of my mouth, you can follow me at Brojo Death Punch. That's BROJO. Death is in the end of life. Punch like a delicious drink you drink in the summer. What a draft. Thank you, man. Thank you. And thank you for tuning in, Jayland. And like I said, night of the draft, Thursday, April 29th. We will be doing a live stream at 7:30 Eastern time starting. We'll be doing it the whole night. We will have guests and friends and people chiming in and people in a bar, so maybe they'll be saying stuff too. It's going to be crazy. It's a pool hall, so you'll have people playing pool, although we won't show the people playing pool. They don't care. And thank you for tuning in. And day 2, I will be doing some kind of a live stream. It won't be a live. I don't know if it'll be as live eventy as that one. Have a good day. TTFN, Tata for now, and we will, again, more videos every chance I can get. Thanks for having comment. Have a nice day, and see you later, J-Land.